There are 298 prisoners on death row in the state of Florida. This is part 20 of the series. Kenneth Desor, 45 years old, 22 years on death row. On February 9, 1999, Kenneth discovered a dead, naked woman in the hallway of her apartment and called 911 to report it. He informed the operator that when he went to his neighbor Cindy Ridwig's apartment to borrow some ice, he instead found the body. Ridwig's arms were tucked under her body while she lay face down. 3 bruises, 15 scratches, pick marks, 16 superficial cuts, 15 deeper cuts, and 4 stab wounds were among the 53 wounds on the body. The victim died as a result of many stab wounds to the thorax and neck. Desor told authorities that as he was taking out the trash, he observed Ridwig sunbathing. He started washing dishes when he got back to his flat, but when he washed a knife, he wounded his hand. He went to Ridwig's flat next door to get some ice because his ice cube dish was empty. When he knocked on the door and called for Cindy, he discovered that the door was not locked, so he went into the flat. He exited the apartment after discovering the body. Bloodstains on Desor's clothing that match Ridwig's DNA profile were discovered through forensic investigation, and his genetic material was found in a towel and comforter from Ridwig's residence. In his kitchen, a knife with blood on it was discovered. He allegedly confessed to the essay and murder of Cindy, according to Valdez Hardy and Shavar Sampson, 2 of his fellow prisoners at the Pinellas County Jail. Lucius Boyd, 64 years old, 22 years on death row. On the morning of December 5, 1998, Doña Da Costa was returning from a church service when her car ran out of gas. She took a gallon of fuel and filled a gas can at a neighboring Texaco station while on foot. Gas station patrons overheard Da Costa conversing with a black man in the parking lot. She was last seen with the man she had been speaking to, subsequently identified as Lucius Boyd, getting into a teal church van. Da Costa's body was found on December 7, 1998, in an alleyway behind a warehouse. The body was covered in a brown bedsheet, a yellow bedsheet, and a liner from a shower curtain. Her head was covered by 2 big black trash bags and a purple wash bag. Da Costa's death was attributed to a penetrating head wound, according to forensic evidence. Her head injuries were consistent with those caused by a reciprocating saw's faceplate, and chest, arms, and head injuries were consistent with those caused by a Torx screwdriver. Da Costa also had bruises in her private parts. The Hope Outreach Ministry Church, which owned the teal van, hired Lucius Boyd to perform routine maintenance. On the weekend of the Da Costa murder, Boyd was behind the wheel of the van. The word Hope was written on the teal van that Da Costa was last seen driving away from the patrol station, according to witnesses there. The church had several tools in the van, including a reciprocating saw and a set of Torx screwdrivers. Boyd's DNA profile matched DNA evidence found on Da Costa's body and hair samples. Boyd's teeth were compatible with bite marks on Da Costa's arm. One of the sheets used to cover her had tire prints that matched those on the church van. Paul Everett, 44 years old, 20 years on death row. Despite residing in Alabama, Everett traveled to Panama City Beach, Florida, the week of November 2, 2001. He did drugs, played video games in one of the arcades, and stayed in the motel. On November 2, 2001, around dusk, went in search of cash. When he entered Kelly Bailey's apartment, he immediately saw her purse and started looking through it. Everett discovered $70, but Bailey caught him. Everett remembered punching her twice, seizing her by the hair, and attacking her, though his memory of the details was incomplete. Bailey died from asphyxia, according to the medical examiner's testimony, which was brought on by a fractured vertebra that prevented her diaphragm muscles from working properly. Everett broke the vertebra by grabbing Bailey by the hair. She had a broken nose, slightly swollen eyelids, abrasions to the bottom of her chin, lacerations and bruises to various areas of her lip, a laceration to the top of her lip where her front teeth protruded, bruises to the tongue, a knocked-out tooth, as well as abrasions and carpet burns to her thumb, elbows, and middle of her back. Everett was out on bond at the time of the murder while awaiting the outcome of an appeal he had filed with an Alabama appellate court. Due to the bond's terms being broken by his trip to Florida, he was apprehended and taken to the jail in Baldwin County, Alabama, on the day of the murder. Everett admitted to breaking into Bailey's home, fighting with her, and essaying her a month after the murder. William Taylor, 65 years old, 19 years on death row. At Harry's Bar in Riverview, William Taylor met Sandra Kushmer and her brother Billy D. Maddox. Kushmer was a classmate of Taylor's. Taylor made the decision to rob them after noticing that Kushmer's brother had purchased pricey beverages and left large tips. He led them to the home of their mother, where he attacked and took advantage of them. Kushmer was shot in the face with a shotgun after Taylor struck her in the head. Then he beat Maddox severely. Maddox supposedly still has long-lasting brain damage from the beating, which almost caused his death. He also had many skull fractures. Taylor cleaned up his bloody clothing after the incident, pawned the shotgun, used Maddox's credit card to make purchases, and tried to cash one of Maddox's checks while he was still in Tampa. Taylor then escaped to Memphis, Tennessee, where he pretended to be Maddox, a stockbroker, and made purchases with his stolen credit cards and checks. The police detained Taylor in Memphis. He has provided numerous accounts of what took place. He once asserted that Jose Arrano and his wife Lorena Taylor were present and took part in the atrocities, although neither of them has ever been charged with the crime. Thomas Rectorink, 52 years old, 18 years on death row. Rectorink fatally stabbed Alison Sousa and Jeremy Jarvis on September 24, 2003. According to sources, Jarvis was attacked and stabbed by Rectorink before fleeing from his home to a nearby place. Rectorink entered the office and attacked Sousa, a secretary, stabbing her as she sought the telephone for assistance. The stab wounds caused the deaths of both Sousa and Jarvis. Sousa had 6 stab wounds while Jarvis suffered 22 stab wounds. When Rectorink was detained on October 15, 2003, he confessed to having a snapshot memory of the assault and gave police a hand-drawn map of the attack's location. The police interrogation was videotaped. Philip Parton, 58 years old, 15 years on death row. On December 1, 2008, a jury returned a verdict of 9-3 in favor of the death penalty for Parton for the murder of 16-year-old hitchhiker Joshan Ashbrook on July 31, 2002. Parton picked up Ashbrook on July 31st while she hitchhiked through Florida, according to the evidence during this trial. Parton's daughter, who was 7 at the time, joined him and Ashbrook for a day of swimming and fishing before they went back to the Newport Richey home, where he and his daughter were residing. Authorities believe Ashbrook was killed between 9 o'clock and midnight. Workers discovered her dead in the woods of Shady Hills Road the following morning. Her neck had been fractured, her throat had been slashed. 9 days after the discovery, Parton left the state after dropping off his daughter in Wauchula. He had been on the run for more than a year when police finally located him in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.